Last week, the baseball world got some great news when it was announced that the highest level of professional baseball in the world, Major League Baseball, will finally begin its season. If everything goes as planned, the regular season will start on July 23rd, and the World Series will be played in October, like every other year. One of the many events that will not be taking place this year is the MLB London Series. The first trip to London last year was a huge success, with over 100,000 fans total attending the two-game series at London's Olympic Stadium to watch the Yankees-Red Sox, North America's most storied sports rivalry. For this year's event, another great rivalry, the Cubs and the Cardinals, was scheduled to be played there in June, but like so many other things in 2020, it's not going to happen. London was supposed to be the host for 2 years and a total of 4 games, and though they never got to see those third and fourth games, it seems that their time may be up. On May 29th, after the series had already been canceled, the names of the Twitter and Instagram accounts for MLB London Series were changed to MLB Europe, possibly signaling that MLB will be looking for another place to play in Europe. This was all pointed out in an article from Ministry of Baseball that came out a couple weeks ago. In this article, they list 6 cities that could possibly host an MLB series, as well as a few wild suggestions. And just so you're not waiting for it to come up, I'll tell you right away that there are no cities in the Netherlands seen as potential hosts. There are enough baseball fans there to fill up a large stadium, but unfortunately there aren't any large stadiums in the country. Their biggest only holds 22,000 spectators. They do suggest in the article that perhaps MLB could have a large baseball stadium built in the Netherlands and use it not only for an MLB series, but as a hub for baseball in Europe. An interesting idea that could pay off in a big way in the long run. But for now, let's stay focused on the cities in Europe that can host an MLB series as early as next summer. When you think of event cities in Europe, the first one that comes to mind, after London, is Paris. A large city easy to get to from the UK, the Netherlands, Germany, and Italy. They would have no problem bringing fans to the park. There is a minority fan base for baseball in France, and this event would give MLB a chance to grow that fan base. And with its history in Montreal, MLB is no stranger to the French-speaking world. The ballpark would be Stade de France, a multi-purpose venue with an athletics capacity of 75,000. Converting it to baseball use might be a little tricky though. The main stands are straight instead of circular like in London Stadium. Gaps between the field and the seats were filled with temporary stands in London. In Paris, the gaps would be bigger and awkwardly shaped, so filling the gaps would be a challenge. But if they can get the seating worked out, I think MLB in Paris has a chance to be just as much of a success as MLB in London was. Next we go to Germany. I've always liked the idea of MLB in Germany since it's located between the Netherlands and Italy. They have their own professional baseball league, and there's a decent-sized fan base to build on. This would be a good chance for MLB to capitalize on the success of German-born Max Kepler. The Minnesota Twins outfielder is off to a good start in his MLB career, and sports fans in his home country have taken notice. 2 cities are mentioned here. The first one is Berlin. The 75,000 capacity Berlin Olympiastadion, interestingly, was the site of the first ever baseball game in Germany, when 2 American teams played an exhibition there during the 1936 Olympic Games. The stands in this stadium form an oval around the field with no straight lines. They would probably have an easier time filling the gaps here than they would in Paris. The other possibility in Germany is the Olympiastadion in Munich, site of the 1972 Olympics. Capacity is around 57,000, smaller than the one in Berlin, but depending on the demand, they might actually want a smaller venue. The stands form an oval just like the one in Berlin. However, one side of the stadium is completely uncovered, and this I believe eliminates Munich from the discussion. If they're going to schedule a pair of regular season games in Germany, they'll go with the place where there's no possibility of it being rained out. So I'd say Berlin is the place to go in Germany. Interest would probably be higher in Germany than in France, and the stadium would be easier to work with as far as seating goes. But they would need to sell 150,000 tickets for the 2-game series in order to sell out both games and avoid the embarrassment of having empty seats for a big event like this. Italy is next. Italy ranks second to the Netherlands in national team strength and in baseball popularity. The 10-team Italian Baseball League is arguably the strongest professional baseball competition in Europe, and the Italian-American connection in cities like New York and Chicago give it the potential to draw a lot of interest for an event like this. 2 cities are mentioned here. First one is the capital and largest city of Rome. Baseball enjoys its greatest popularity in the Rome suburb of Nettuno, a city of 50,000, known as the City of Baseball. So there are plenty of local residents who already like baseball that would snatch up tickets right away. The 70,000 capacity Stadio Olimpico is the largest stadium in the country, but 2 problems exist here. One is that the main stands are straight, just as in Paris. The other is that there is permanent protective fencing around all sides of the stadium, so putting in temporary seating would be very hard to do. The other Italian city is Naples. The Stadio San Paolo has a capacity of 55,000, smaller but still a good number of seats. The best part about this venue is the shape. one straight main stand and curved on the other side, giving it somewhat of a baseball field shape. Naples ranks third in population of Italian cities and has the second most populous metro area. Only downside I can see is that it's in southern Italy. Baseball is played and watched mostly in the country's northern half, but if the fans are willing to travel and there's good transportation to the city, then Naples seems like a good idea. So Rome will definitely be MLB's first choice. It's the biggest city with the biggest venue. If they can make it work, they'll do it. If not, Naples seems like a really good backup plan. Then we have Spain. The biggest strength here is the language. Spanish is just as important in the baseball world as English. MLB has a goal of not only increasing its presence in Europe, but also conquering the whole Spanish-speaking world, so an MLB series in Spain could help them in both areas. Barcelona is the country's best candidate. Estadi Olímpic Lluís Companys is a 60,000 capacity stadium built in 1927 and was used in the Barcelona Summer Games in '92. Like a few other stadiums, it has straight sides, so putting in temporary seats would be a challenge, and it's a bit run down, so they may need to make some improvements before an MLB series can be held there. So, holding an MLB series in Spain has benefits and drawbacks, like the other places in Europe I've mentioned. The language is a benefit, making communication easy, but I don't see an event like this having any sort of impact on spreading the game in Latin America. It would help to grow the game on the continent, but no more than in France, Germany, or Italy. The venue is alright, but lags behind the other ones. A few others are mentioned: Israel, Greece, Russia. It would be really interesting to see an MLB series in one of these countries, but there are just too many problems. Finding a suitable venue to host the series, small existing fan bases to build on, and tense political situations that could endanger the fans, players, and the event itself. In conclusion, I think Paris would be an excellent choice if they can make the stadium work and ensure there's enough demand to make the event as big as the London series. Berlin has an easier stadium to work with, and there would probably be more interest in the event there. In Rome, they'd have no problems attracting fans, but the stadium's got some issues. Naples has a good venue to work with, but it will only be considered if Rome can't be done. Barcelona doesn't seem to offer anything that the other European cities can't offer. If I were to rank them, I'd put Berlin first, Paris second, Rome third, Naples fourth, Barcelona fifth, and Munich sixth. But that's only if they decide not to return to London, which would be my first choice. But that's just me. I'd like to hear what you think. Leave a comment and let me know if there are any pros or cons to any of these places I didn't mention, or if there are any other cities where they could play. That's all for today, and until next time, this is Baseball International. See ya.